find smart, talented, successful people who are able to go only so far because of the limitations of their leadership. For example, when Apple got started in the late 70s, Steve Wozniak was the brains behind the Apple computer. His leadership lead was low, but that was not the case for his partner, Steve Jobs. His lead was so high that he built a world-class organization and gave it a nine-digit value. That's the impact of the law of the lead. In the 80s, I met Don Stephenson, the chairman of Global Hospitality Resources Incorporated of San Diego, California, an international hospitality advisory and consulting firm. Over lunch, I asked him about his organization. Today, he primarily does consulting, but back then, his company took over the management of hotels and resorts that weren't doing well financially. His company oversaw many excellent facilities, such as La Costa in Southern California. Don said that whenever his people went into an organization to take it over, they always started by doing two things. First, they trained all the staff to improve their level of service to the customers. And second, they fired the leader. When he told me that, I was surprised. You always fire him? I asked. Every time? That's right, every time, he said. Don't you talk to the person first to check him out to see if he's a good leader? I said. No, he answered. If he'd been a good leader, the organization wouldn't be in the mess it's in. Mhm. And I thought to myself, of course, it's the law of the lead. To reach the highest level of effectiveness, you have to raise the lead, one way or another. The good news is that getting rid of the leader isn't the only way. Just as I teach in conferences that there is a lead, I also teach that you can raise it. But that's the subject of another law of leadership. Hmm. Next subheading: applying the law of the lead to your life. 1. List some of your major goals. Try to focus on significant objectives, things that will require a year or longer of your time. List at least 5 but no more than 10 items. Now identify which ones will require the participation or cooperation of other people. For these activities, your leadership ability will greatly impact your effectiveness. 2. Assess your leadership ability. Complete the leadership evaluation in Appendix A at the back of this book to get an idea of your basic leadership ability. 3. Ask others to rate your leadership. Talk to your boss, your spouse, two colleagues at your level, and three people you lead about your leadership ability. Ask each of them to rate you on a scale of 1 low to 10 high in each of the following areas: people skills, planning and strategic thinking, vision, results. Average the scores and compare them to your own assessment. Based on these assessments, is your leadership skill better or worse than you expected? If there is a gap between your assessment and that of others, what do you think is the cause? How willing are you to grow in the area of leadership? Now, the second law, okay, it is called the law of influence. Oh, maybe we should look at the appendix A first. Let's have a look. Again, copyright issues might be there, so I don't want to just share my screen. I don't want to violate, anything. So let's see what is that appendix A. I will read it out for you guys, okay? Mhm. Page 269, okay? Appendix A, okay? Read each statement below and score yourself for each using the following scale: 0 never, 1 rarely, 2 occasionally, 3 always. Well, this is interesting. I'd like to do the same for myself. Yeah, I'll do it on my own. Ooh, several pages. Wow, this is practical. Hmm. Okay, I won't use a pencil for making notes in the book. This is not my book. Okay, but I will do it later and share with you my results. And now I'm reading it for you. If you want to do the activity again, um, these, my reading sessions are aimed at people who want to work on their personal development. So if you're here, if you're listening, I want you not to just be a passive consumer, but also an active um, user. Dave asks, "Are you from Brazil?" No, Dave, I'm not from Brazil. I'm from Armenia. And how about you? Hi, Noah. Hello. And I remind you guys, you can send likes my way, okay? If you're here, if you're enjoying, if you're interacting with me, that's nice. I'm happy to interact with you. You can also support with likes, okay? Okay, question one. The law of delete. Again, you need to rate yourself uh, for each using the file. Yes, 0 never, 1 rarely, 2 occasionally, 3 always. Okay, listen to the questions. Okay, thank you to that one person who gave me a like. Noah, maybe that's you. I don't know. Thank you. Okay, leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. A. When faced with a challenge, my first thought is, who can I enlist to help? Not what can I do? So, is it always like that, or never, or rarely, occasionally? You need to rate. Noah, thank you, Noah. Thank you so much. Okay, for me, no, I don't say who can I enlist to help. Usually, I think what can I do, and then right now I'm looking for a room for rent here in Van Nuys area in North Hollywood. And I'm like, okay, what can I do? First, I can change my profile photos and I can search, reach out. So my first thought is, what can I do? Not who can I enlist. Then I think, okay, I could also ask my students. I could ask people online. So it comes, as a second thought. So occasionally, I'd say occasionally. B. When my team, department, or organization fails to achieve an objective, my first assumption is my first assumption is that it's some kind of leadership issue. Mm, I'd say rarely. Honestly, I'd say rarely. If although I have one assistant, I have one assistant, and if she fails to achieve an objective, hmm, it could be her fault, but I would give one or two for this one, rarely or occasionally. One example is, I dictate her. I'm writing a book, but I have eyesight problems, so I use her services and I just tell her what she needs to write. And her English is on a more modest level. We both are not native English speakers. So what she did, for instance, she capitalized the word you, uh, thinking, because in my native language, in Armenian, when you want to be respectful, just like in Spanish, usted, you can use the word you with capital Y, but not in English. We don't do that. It's done very rarely. Yeah, it's practically not used like that. So I think that was her failure. I can't blame me for that. So I would say rarely, yeah. And then C. I believe that developing my leadership skills will increase my effectiveness dramatically. Will increase my effectiveness. Yeah, yeah, that if I develop my leadership skills, that will increase my effectiveness, definitely. So now I'm thinking, see, the name of my channel is New Intellectuals Community. Yeah. So I want to create a community, a real community. I'm thinking of a center as well, New Intellectual Center, but that's more limited. I want a community. And for a community, I first and foremost need a dedicated team and then volunteers, members, yes, community members. So for that, yeah, I need to be a good leader and engage people, involve them. Uh, so yeah, and then when I learn to lead my team and then engage volunteers, I will become much more effective. Two, the law of influence. The true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. This is the law of influence. And we have three questions under the law of influence. A. I rely on influence rather than on my position or title to get others to follow me or do what I want. Hmm. Yeah, I would put 4 on this because I don't have that position or title. And, my voice and my, let's say, charisma, my knowledge are the resources I have, you know. So I would say 4. I would put 4 in front of this question. Yeah. B. During discussions or brainstorming settings, people turn to me and ask for my advice. Mm. That can be uh, occasionally, that would be 2, rarely or occasionally. Actually, I'm giving a lot of information, and during some trainings and brainstorming ideas, people are like laying back and they just listen to me while I say and fill in the stuff. Yeah, they often don't ask, but they know that if I'm in their team, I'll be giving them lots of ideas, lots of, brainstorming activity will be carried on my shoulders, etc. That would be cheating, though, right? Noah, well, it doesn't matter. No, no, it depends on the context. That's what I wanted to say. Cheating. Mm, if it's a team activity, but other team members are not interested, I could either do the same, like lay back and, you know, chill, and nothing would be done. At the end of the session, we would be left with very poor results or with almost no results. So I don't regard it as cheating. And also, it's not like I'm saying, hey, shut up, I'll do everything. No, it's just, that it's in some cases, that's how things work. And during training sessions, some people get very bored. They're not there for the training, they are for the treats, for the after training sessions, plays, and stuff, for socializing. You know, there are some layers and some contexts. Okay, see, I rely on my leaderships with others. Oh, sorry, I rely on my relationships with others rather than organizational systems and procedures to get things done. Relationships are important. I'd say 3 or 4 on this question. Do we have 4? Yes, it's always. 4 is always. Oh no, sorry. 3 is always. I'd say 2 or 3. Relationships, yeah, they are important for obtaining results. Even with my room searching, my aunt has some relationships, some friends, some people whom she helped in the past, and we found one option through a relationship she has with one of her friends. Her friend's son has some real estate and he rents some rooms. So that's how we found this one room. We consider it as an option. So relationships matter. But organizational systems, those are important too. I applied for asylum here in the United States, and it's important, to file your papers, to be on time, to respect the laws and regulations, etc. You know, so organizational systems, especially when it comes to banks, governments, those structures are, or colleges, universities, those structures are important. Okay, and then what you do after ABC, you always count your total. Okay, what's the number you get at the end? And then three, the law of process. Leadership develops daily, not in a day. Okay. A, I have a concrete, specific plan for personal growth that I engage in weekly. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe this would be one or zero right now. Personal growth plan. I have some ideas, but not a clear, concise plan. So I'd put one or zero on in front of this question. B, I have found experts and mentors for key areas of my life with whom I engage on a regular basis. Um, I was thinking of some mentors. I'm considering some, institutions and people, but not yet. I just applied to Los Angeles Valley College, and there they have some nice people. One person from the LGBT. Um, I don't know how to call it, the LGBT department. No, that's not a department. She's a that person. They are responsible for helping queer students. So that person is helping me, and they are fantastic. She's fantastic. Her pronouns are they, she. Yeah. And there is another person is very good. So they are kind of, mm, mm, giving me directions. Not really mentorship, but they are locals. They know the laws, the regulations, and they are helping me out a great deal. With housing. I have to find a place to stay within 2 weeks. I need to leave this house by the end of the month. I was asked to do so, or required to do so. So, you know, they are helping me a great deal, So, partly, maybe I'd say one on this question. And C, to promote my professional growth, I have read at least 6 books, or taken at least one worthwhile class, or listened to 12 or more audio lessons per year for the last 3 years. 6 books. No, not six. One class, or listen to 12 audio lessons per year for the last 3 years. No, I am listening to stuff, I'm reading stuff, but I'm not that consistent, so there is room for improvement, I'd say one on this one. Okay, so this Appendix A contains questions like this for all the 21 leadership laws, So I think I won't read all of them. I'll do this for myself because I'm not sure how efficient that is. But the title of the book is there. You can purchase it. Maybe you can find it online, a PDF version. And you are welcome to do the same with me and invest into your personal development. Okay. Now let's just continue with the second law, the law of influence. The true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. This is the law of influence. What do leaders look like? Do they always look powerful, impressive, charismatic? And how do you measure the effectiveness of a leader? Can you put two people side by side and instantly tell which is the better leader? These are questions people have asked for hundreds of years. One of the most effective leaders of the late 20th century was anything but impressive upon first appearance. When most people think of Mother Teresa, They envision a frail little woman dedicated to serving the poorest of the poor. That she was. But she was also a tremendous leader. I say that because she had an amazing amount of influence with others. And if you don't have influence, you will never be able to lead others. Small stature, big impact. Lucinda Vardy, who worked with Mother Teresa on the book The Simple Path, described the nun as, quote, the quintessential energetic entrepreneur who has perceived a need and done something about it, built an organization against all odds, formulated its constitution, and sent out branches all over the world, unquote. Well, that's an interesting vision of Mother Teresa. Okay. The organization Mother Teresa founded and led is called the Missionaries of Charity. While other vocational orders in the Catholic Church were declined, hers grew rapidly, reaching more than 4,000 members during her lifetime, not including numerous volunteers. Under her direction, her followers served in 25 countries on 5 continents. In Calcutta alone, that's India, she established a children's home, a center for people with leprosy, a home for people who were dying and destitute, and a home for people suffering with tuberculosis or mental disorders. Wow. That kind of organizational building can be accomplished only by a true leader. If you don't have influence, you will never be able to lead others. Okay? Mother Teresa's impact reached far beyond her immediate environment. Okay, I'll add something which is not in the book and then I'll continue reading. Actually, in the Republic of Armenia, where I am from, there was a terrible earthquake in 1989. Um, yeah, I think 1989, yes, December 1989, yeah. And there were dozens of thousands of victims, like people who got killed. They were left under the rubble, under the parts of the buildings which collapsed on them. My aunt, my mother's sister, she lost 3 boys, and 3 of them went to school that day, and they were left under the collapsed building. And now I'm telling them, kind of having something like goosebumps. So my poor aunt lost her 3 children there. A lot of victims. And Mother Teresa with her sisters, she also came there, and she also supported the victims of that earthquake. And Armenia is a very small country. The population back then was around 3.6 million people, and it was huge for such a tiny country. Yeah. So yeah, Mother Teresa, yeah, she left a mark. She was there, etc., etc. There is criticism of her, of her maybe ways. Christopher Hitchens, yes, the famous atheist and public speaker, he I think has a small documentary on Mother Teresa and on some of her ways. So, but everybody is criticized. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you do, there is always criticism. So I cannot comment on that much. Um, People from all walks of life and from nations around the globe respected her, and when she spoke, people listened. Author and former presidential speechwriter Peggy Noonan wrote about a speech Mother Teresa gave at the National Prayer Breakfast in 1994. It illustrates her level of influence with others. Noonan observed, quote, and before reading the quote, send likes my way, guys. Okay, there is only one person who liked the live, and thank you to that one person. Thank you, Noah. Okay, quote. The Washington establishment was there, plus a few thousand born again Christians, Orthodox Catholics, and Jews. Mother Teresa spoke of God, of love, of families. She said, "We must love one another and care for one another." There were great pairs of agreement. But as the speech continued, it became more pointed. She spoke of unhappy parents in old people's homes who are, quote, hurt because they are forgotten, unquote. She asked, "Are we willing to give until it hurts in order to be with our families? Or do we put our own interests first?" The baby boomers in the audience began to shift in their seats, and she continued, "I feel that the greatest destroyer of peace today is abortion," she said, and told them why, in uncompromising terms. For about 1.3 seconds there was silence. Then applause swept the room. But not everyone clapped. The President and First Lady, Bill and Hillary Clinton, the Vice President and Mrs. Gore, looked like seated statues at Madame Tussauds, moving not a muscle. Mother Teresa didn't stop there either. When she was finished, there was almost no one she hadn't offended. Okay. Okay, that's the end of the excerpt from that newspaper or from that lady. At that time, if just about any other person in the world had made those statements, people's reactions would have been openly hostile. They would have booed, jeered, or stormed out. But the speaker was Mother Teresa. She was probably the most respected person on the planet at that time. So everyone listened to what she had to say, even though many of them violently disagreed with it. In fact, every time that Mother Teresa spoke, people listened. Why? She was a real leader, and when the real leader speaks, people listen. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Leadership is not, and three dots. This is another subheading. Leadership is often misunderstood. When people hear that someone has an impressive title or an assigned leadership position, they assume that individual to be a leader. Sometimes that's true, but titles don't have much value when it comes to leading. True leadership cannot be awarded, appointed, or assigned. It comes only from influence, and that cannot be mandated. It must be earned. The only thing a title can buy is a little time, either to increase your level of influence with or others or to undermine it. And that's very interesting. Actually, 2 points before I continue. Point number one about Mother Teresa. So, what was the criticism about, actually? From Christopher Hitchens' documentary and other people. They say that Mother Teresa was at times kind of sadistic. Um, they say that sometimes she wouldn't give drugs to people like medicine, yeah? Uh, Saying that if you suffer, that's the will of God. So if you suffer, you need to suffer. They say that that was her approach, and they say that some amount of people died, passed away because of that approach. That's what I heard, one piece of criticism. And even for painkillers, they say that she was kind of against it. She was conservative in terms of medicine, and her biggest um, approach, like her the thing she was into was to host homeless people, people with diseases, illnesses, give them space and allow them to kind of suffer, in those conditions. That's the criticism I heard. I cannot say that was the case, I don't know. um, but in terms of criticizing her, that's it. And point number two, actually, about the last part. Leadership cannot be bought, yeah, and you can do two things. Yes, if you have two things, if you have a title, either to increase your level of influence or undermine it. I think of Bashar Assad of Syria. He didn't have leadership skills. He had, the money of his father and the bloodthirsty Kremlin armies. Yeah, Putin's watchdogs and yeah, slaves. So Assad clearly demonstrates this point of the book. I think he wasn't able to enhance his influence. He kind of undermined his influence, and he fell. Some dictators who are influential. I don't like it, but it's the case. Yet we have dictators who live till the end of their days. They die of natural causes and stuff in Africa, in Asia, most probably in Latin America. There were such leaders, such dictators. So those dictators have more influence. Yes, if we analyze the question from the paradigm of the book, it means those leaders had some influence and they knew how to use it. I hate Putin, but because he's a bloody and bloodthirsty tyrant, But probably he has this killer instinct, he has this influence, he knows how to play on the fears of people. So yeah, he has that influence. His lead is kind of high in that respect. Yeah. So he succeeds for the time being. Yeah. Let's see what will come in a few years, but maybe who knows? Russia could become South Korea too. Sorry, North Korea too. Yeah, because people don't seem to be very against what Putin is up to. There is some amount of population who is kind of okay with what Putin is up to, so that's why Russia could become another North Korea with whom Russia is in a very good relationships, and there are North Korean soldiers in the fields of Ukraine right now, who fight for Russia. That's terrible. Okay, Ukraine shouldn't, be left alone. 5 myths about leadership. There are plenty of misconceptions and myths that people embrace about leaders and leadership. Here are 5 common ones. 1. The management myth. A widespread misunderstanding is that leading and managing are one and the same. Up until a few years ago, books that claimed to be on leadership were often really about management. Oh. The main difference between the two is that leadership is about influencing people to follow, while management focuses on maintaining systems and processes. Oh, that's very easy to understand. Okay, I'll read this again. The difference between management and leadership. Okay, leadership is about influencing people to follow. Okay, management focuses on maintaining systems and processes. That's very neat, very laconic, yeah, very short and concise. I like it. As former Chrysler chairman and CEO Lee Iacocca Riley commented, sometimes even the best manager is like the little boy with the big dog, waiting to see where the dog wants to go so that he can take him there. Okay. The best way to test whether a person can lead rather than just manage is to ask him to create positive change. Managers can maintain direction, but often they can't change it. Systems and processes can do only so much. To move people in a new direction, you need influence. And there is an idea on the page separately which reads, the only thing a title can buy is a little time, either to increase your level of influence with others or to undermine it. Okay, yes, we read this on the previous page. Okay, it means the author thinks that this idea is important. Okay, 2. The second myth on leadership, the entrepreneur myth. Frequently, people assume that all entrepreneurs are leaders, but that's not always the case. Entrepreneurs are skilled at seeing opportunities and going after them. They see needs and understand how to meet them in a way that produces a profit. But not all of them are good with people. Many find it necessary to partner with someone skilled at the people part of the equation. If they can't influence people, they can't lead. Okay. The third myth, the knowledge myth. Sir Francis Bacon said, "Knowledge is power." If you believe power to be the essence of leadership, then you might naturally assume that those who possess knowledge and intelligence are therefore leaders. That isn't necessarily true. You can visit any major university and meet brilliant research scientists and philosophers whose ability to think is so high that it's off the charts, but whose ability to lead is so low that it doesn't even register on the charts. Yeah, that's true. Neither IQ nor education necessarily equates to leadership. Yeah, I like this book actually. And if you do too, send likes my way, okay? So far, there's only one person who liked the stream. Okay, myth number four, and we'll finish with this one for today, I think. The pioneer myth. Another misconception is that anyone who is out in front of the crowd is a leader. But being first isn't always the same as leading. For example, Sir Edmund Hillary was the first man to reach the summit of Mount Everest. Since his historic ascent in 1953, hundreds of people have followed him in achieving that feat. But that doesn't make Hillary a leader. He wasn't even the official leader on the expedition when he reached the summit. John Hunt, John Hunt was, and when Hillary traveled to the South Pole in 1958 as part of the Commonwealth Trans-Antarctic Expedition, he was accompanying another leader, Sir Vivian Fuchs, Fuchs. To be a leader, a person has to not only be out front, but also have people intentionally coming behind him, following his lead and acting on his vision. Being a trendsetter is not the same as being a leader. Oh, okay, okay. So we still have two. Oh no, this was the fourth one. We have one more myth on leadership, and we will discover that one more myth on leadership tomorrow. Okay? So whenever you watch this live, again, likes are very important and they are helping my content and my channel. Okay? So if you get something from this reading session, also give something back. Okay? Also, you can become a paid member for my on my YouTube channel, and if you do so, you will get access to a course entitled Introduction to Practical Philosophy. Thanks to that course, you will discover what philosophy is, you will understand the five branches or components of philosophy, and you'll get an introductory knowledge on the philosophy of objectivism, which is rational, individualistic, and free market capitalists. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks for being with me. High five, and hopefully see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye bye.